Okay, now I'm on. Welcome to Winfield United Church this morning. The last, what we're treating as the last Sunday of Advent, although practically next Sunday, Christmas Eve, is the last Sunday of Advent, the 4 Sundays that precede Christmas. We're doing things a slight little bit differently. And so I just want to welcome you, whoever you are, whatever you come from, whatever your faith journey, whatever denomination you have come out of, in case you're visiting here. We're glad to have you. Please join in. At the end of the service, we put on coffee over there, and you're welcome to stay, and the coffee's free. You see, that's the difference between us and Tim Hortons. So please come in. And the coffee's better? Yeah. Okay. As we do gather in this place, though, we acknowledge and remember that we're on the ancestral territory of the Silic people. And we're grateful for their stewardship of the land over many centuries and of its resources. And we're trying to learn from their teachings about the sacredness of this land. It's time for me to welcome guests. And, whoop, what did I forget? Oh, right. Let's join in singing. Virgin Mary had a baby boy. The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. The Virgin Mary had a baby boy. And they say that his name is Jesus. He come from the glory, he come from the glorious kingdom, he come from the glory, he come from the glorious kingdom. Oh yes, believer, oh yes, believer, he come from the glory, he come from the glorious kingdom. The angels sang when the baby was born. The angels sang when the baby was born. The angels sang when the baby was born. And they say that his name is Jesus. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. Oh yes, believer. Oh yes, believer. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. Shepherds came where the baby was born. The shepherds came where the baby was born. The shepherds came where the baby was born. And they say that his name is Jesus. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. Oh yes, believer. Oh yes, believer. He come from the glory. He come from the glorious kingdom. Okay, now I can get back to my script. So I know we have some guests here this morning. Dexter is over here. He's one of them. I asked him if he wanted to say anything about himself, and he said he'd rather not. So that's fine. You don't have to. But I do want to warn you that that guy in the white sweater over there is going to collar you after the service and try to find out everything in your life about you. John?
This is Hans. We've met at QC's coffee.
Okay, Hans? Do you want to say anything about yourself?
No.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So, welcome to you. Welcome also back to Doug and Bev. Haven't seen you for a long time. Nice to see you here. Thank you for coming. Any other guests, visitors that I should pay attention to? Well, Nori.
Well, they can introduce themselves. No? These are my two youngest granddaughters, Maggie and Rosie.
Maggie?
And they had this is Maggie, and this is Rosie.
Rosie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had a sleepover at our place last
Good.
night.
And thank you for warning me, because I did bring a book. Margaret found it for me. We come to the life and work of the church. I wonder if there are any announcements. Sandy? Kim, have you got a... Do you want to go up here? Okay.
Morning, everybody.
Hang on a second. Little red light's not on. Kim, maybe you could...
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me now? Yep. Okay. I just want to take this opportunity on behalf of Council to wish you all a very blessed Christmas. And wherever you go, whatever you do, may you be happy and safe. The other thing is, just so you know, pastoral care is doing little jobs on the side, and we have some little tiny poinsettias that we're going to be delivering to our shut-in, the people that can't be here every week with us. And the other thing I just wanted you to know, you probably be missing Anita. She hasn't been around for a few weeks, probably a good month now. She broke her foot. She broke her right foot, and she's just starting to be able to walk around. And I know she would just love a phone call from anybody. So please have a, as I say, have a safe and happy Christmas. Thank you.
So for coffee this morning, we have a cake that will be cut and served, and the cake is in celebration of Jim. Jim, for those of you that don't know, in absence of having a minister, Jim has made sure that there is someone up here every Sunday, and most of the time he is the one that has prepared the service. And I know how very much work goes into each and every service, having been there a couple of times. Jim, just thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and yeah, we want to give you a Merry Christmas and a thank you. So please stay and join us.
Oh, okay, it's hard to follow that, but nevertheless. We have a few birthdays. Generally, our practice is that we don't sing happy birthday to somebody who's going to have a birthday during the week. So, Arlene Araho, happy birthday. Where's Arlene?
I'm over here, Jay.
Over there. You were over there for a while.
It's a big one this year.
Oh, 40?
Double.
Okay. And it's Don and Bev Sawatsky's anniversary on the 22nd. Are they're not here this morning?
They've left for
Okay.
Alberta.
All right, well, we won't do anything for them. But it is Karen Stead's birthday today, and we can sing happy birthday to her. Day to you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you. And now we come to the part of the service that is sort of my favorite. You share a God moment sometime when the presence of God has felt very close to you during perhaps this morning, perhaps during the last week, or it may be something from your past that just happens to have come bubbling up and that you realize, and you may not have realized at the time, that God was very close to you. And so I'd invite anybody to volunteer. Just hold up your hand. Kim will bring you a microphone.
Yesterday, we took Rocky to have photos with Santa. And she was quite enamored with him. Not so much in the beginning, but at the end of the shoot, she didn't want to get off of his lap. She wanted to stay with him. And Santa said, "Can I take her home for Christmas?"
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that my granddaughter Anna is back in the Okanagan from the mainland to go back to work. She's feeling much better. So the medication has worked, I guess. And so hopefully she'll stay well. Thank you.
And Lynn? Kim? Lynn?
I have a 2-year-old granddaughter, and the family stayed over at our house last night, and my granddaughter decided at 10 o'clock that she was going to bed with Nana, and I got to snuggle with a 2-year-old, and that's been a lot of years. And if that's not God staying with me and being with us, I don't know what is.
Thanks, Lynn.
I've been waiting a long time to tell you, I've been skiing. Tuesday and Friday, I got to go skiing, and the conditions are minimal, but it is beautiful up there. And if you are tired of the dreariness in the valley, you should go just for a drive. Tuesday was nothing but blue skies, and the view from the mountaintop, you could see the Monashees all the way around, and then we look at you in the valley with that blanket of cloud cover, and it looks just amazing. It is a God moment to be up there and see the grandeur of the beautiful world God created for us, and it really is spectacular. And the skiing was wonderful. So I am waiting for a white Christmas, though.
I'm probably speaking for a lot of people here, but I don't know, for some reason on Friday, we just had the nicest customers come into the thrift shop. The number of people that said to me, "Oh, just keep the change, pay it forward. Someone might come in who doesn't have quite enough money," and so on. And just the whole vibe in there was just lovely, and it felt so good to be helping people who were counting their pennies for buying Christmas gifts and being able to help them. It was wonderful.
I have actually 3 God moments. The first is I've got somebody's beautiful little earring here. It's an embroidered Christmas tree, and it makes a wonderful accent to my dress right here. So come and get it later. And the second one is that Dad and I went to see Wizard of Oz yesterday. And we sang along, and I had this brilliant idea of bringing tea with us. So we sat at the intermission with my china teacups and my thermos of tea, and we had tea and cookies, and people turned around and looked at us like we were nuts. And we just loved it. And the third God moment I have is that I borrowed this microphone from Wentworth Music the other day, because whenever you guys hold the microphone, you do it wrong. You hold it like this. You talk like this. You move your heads, and the microphone goes all over the place, and nobody can hear you. And guess what? This very expensive microphone, you can still hear when you do all of those strange things with your head. So testing it out, maybe we can put it in the budget, because it's really expensive. But you can still hear me. Okay?
And listen, we went to The Wizard of Oz, and I thought I was going to go and watch a standard sort of show, and she came out and she started singing, and the tears began rolling down my face. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue. Somewhere over the rainbow, dreams really do come true. That's good. Maybe you can remember the rest of the words. I can't.
I have a moment I'd like to share.
Okay.
As most of you know, my daughter Gigi is recovering, or has recovered, from a total stem transplant as a result of being diagnosed with cancer. And I had occasion to go and see her. She's now almost fully recovered. So I flew to Calgary to go and see her. And she met me in the baggage area. And when I saw her walking towards me, she had a beautiful blonde wig on, and she was wearing a small pin on her coat, which is a little slogan from an advertising campaign that I had been involved with Air Canada. And it said, "With flying colors." So there she was, coming towards me with flying colors.
Thanks, Louise. I've said before, and I think Bob agrees with me, that these God moments are probably the most worshipful thing we do all morning. Because otherwise somebody's talking at you. This is you talking about your experiences of God. And I find it powerful. So we come to lighting the Christ candle, lighting the candles. We have 4 of them, and I have lit 3 of them previously. They say you can only do 3 cigarettes off 1 match. I'm going to try to get 4 candles off 1 match. I think that calls for a cheer. So this morning, I've lit the candle of love. I've done previously peace and hope and joy and now love. And that's a pretty feeble flame, but I think it's going to come back up. I don't know whether love is the sum total of these, that you have love when you have peace and hope and joy, or if it's the culmination of them, because you can have love even when you don't have hope and peace and joy. You can still love. There are 4 candles shedding light up on this table. My friend, love, Christine, asked the question in her service, where do you see light in your days coming ahead? And I'm quoting from her, we spend too much of our lives in spiritual darkness. We focus on negativity and hopelessness. What if on this Sunday of Advent, we committed to just a single exercise, to look at light, a candle, a fire, or something else, and we looked at that light and said a prayer to welcome the light into our lives. Perhaps something like this. Holy One, you are the light of the world, and you know my deepest desires and the deepest desires of all the people on this earth. Overwhelm us with your love, that we may set aside our petty concerns, even for a day or moment, and instead embrace your power to create and bring peace, hope, love, joy to all your creatures. All your creatures. As the native people say, all my relations. We're all related. Let's join in an opening prayer. Holy Presence, we ask you to hover over us, among us, within us. Wrap your arms around us and fill our bodies and our thoughts as we gather here this morning. This is a season of new beginnings. We begin a new year on January 1. We begin the life of Jesus on December 25. We begin a solar year on December 21 when the days start getting longer. And we're already in the new church year, which started at the end of November with the beginning of Advent. This is a season of new beginnings. We ask for guidance as we all move into this new chapter of our lives together. And it's going to be, no, hold it, Elaine, hold it. First, children's story, okay? So Sharon, I wonder if you can scroll ahead to this picture of a pregnant Mary. Do you want to come and join me? No? Okay. Then I will come to you. So, this is Mary discovering that she's pregnant. And look, she's really slim there. And that's Joseph, that's her husband. He's saying, "You're what?" And look, see how she's growing? Mary's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. One more, Karen. Oh, there she is. Yep. And the story says that it came to pass that Caesar Augustus, who was the emperor, said that all the world should be taxed and everyone should go to their own city. And look how difficult it is for Mary to get up onto that donkey. There's Joseph. He has to grab her foot and lift her up, and then he has to balance her on top. And then finally she's sitting on the donkey, and they can start traveling. And it was a rough road. So Joseph went from Nazareth, which was where he lived, to the city of Bethlehem with Mary, his wife, who was, it says, great with child. Great with child. Yeah. And you can see how rough the road was. And there are lots and lots of people going to Bethlehem. I don't turn pages well upside down. Bethlehem was full. People everywhere. There are people in the trees. There are people on the streets. There are people looking out of windows. There was no room for them when they got to Bethlehem. And that's where Mary brought forth, that means gave birth, to her firstborn son. And he's wondering what he's coming into. And then there he is, just lying there. He doesn't cover up. And she wrapped him in swaddling clothes, which were just anything that they could wrap around him, and laid him in a manger, because there was no room for them at the inn. And so, chickens, and I don't see anything else, but the songs tell us that there were sheep and cattle also in the manger there with them. And there were out in the country some shepherds in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. And the angel of the Lord came to them in glory and told them that the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were afraid. Look at the angel, big wings, and sheep. How come sheep always turn their butts toward you? And the angels said, "Fear not, for I bring you tidings of great joy. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And this shall be the sign: you shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger." And suddenly there was with the angel a multitude of the heavenly hosts, praising God. Oh, look, some of the sheep have turned around. They're facing people now. And there's an angel riding a sheep. You know how you tell how many sheep there are in a field? You count the legs and divide by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's how you find how many sheep there are there. And when the angels were gone, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go into Bethlehem to see this thing which has come to pass." So they left their sheep behind, and they went into Bethlehem. And they came with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in the manger. And there's the babe, just like this one. That would be the babe lying there with the straw in the manger. And they looked over the edge at this baby, and they were amazed. And behold, there also came wise men to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who's the one who's born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star, and we've come to worship him." And they saw the star which was in the east. It went before them until it stood over the place where the young child was. They came on camels, and there were angels hanging in the trees, and there's the star that they were following. It may not have been a very big star. We think it was a huge star, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was just one little star that they picked out of the sky and said, "That's the special star." The wise men departed into their own country, and the shepherds also returned, and they were all glorifying and praising God for the things that they had heard and seen. And the child was called Jesus, because he was named that by the angel way back before he was conceived. And this time, Mary's getting up, and somebody is carrying the baby to give to her so that she can take him back home to Nazareth.
I think he skipped a page. Back here.
I did. And when they came, this is after they'd heard that message in the fields. Oh, that's the wise men. When they had come into the house, they saw that the young child was with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented him gifts of gold. Can you find gold in there somewhere? Yeah. And myrrh, do you know what myrrh is? It's kind of like embalming fluid.
What's that?
Myrrh is just a smell. It's kind of a
Yeah.
smelly.
They used to put it on to people after they had died to make them smell better. Ooh. And frankincense. Do you have any candles that you light that spread a nice smell through the house? No? Yeah. Yeah, she can light one of them for you when you get home. But that's the whole idea of frankincense, to put a nice smell through the house. What's the product that we plug into walls?
Glade air freshener.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, frankincense was kind of like really special Glade. Now can I turn the last page? And the child was called Jesus. That's what he was named by the angel before he was conceived and born. There's your story. Thank you. Thank you for taking part. Now we're going to sing about the three men who came out of the wilderness. We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again. King forever, ceasing never, over us all to reign. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Frankincense to offer have I, incense owns a deity nigh, prayer and praising voices raising, worshiping God on high. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Myrrh is mine, its bitter perfume breathes a life of gathering gloom, sorrowing, sighing, bleeding, dying, sealed in the stone-cold tomb. Oh, star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. So, please be seated. No, we don't have another one, do we? Okay. Glorious now, behold him arise, King and God and sacrifice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, sounds through the earth thy perfect light. Okay, well, since things are going really off the rails, I better tell you how Fran Barton, whom some of you remember when she was here, used to sing this. It went like this. We three kings of Orient are chewing on a rubber cigar. It was loaded, it exploded. We two kings of Orient are. I don't know where the three came from. The three is not in the Bible. It doesn't say there were three wise men came from the east. It just says wise men, magi, astrologers, whoever they were. They were the top of the social order in their own country, and they came to King Herod to find out where this new king had been born who had a star of his own in the sky.
In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star in the east and have come to pay him homage."
That's about all we know about them. We don't even know if they were all men, although it's highly unlikely that there were any women in that group, because women would stay at home, veiled inside the seclusion of the house, and it was men who went out. So they came. We don't know if they rode horses or camels or came on foot. All we know is that they came from the east, and the Bible doesn't say where in the east. Of course, they didn't have the same country names now that we have. Guesswork is Persia, but it might have been Afghanistan or India or possibly even China. Who knows? All we know for sure is that they were wealthy. They brought with them expensive gifts, gold and myrrh and frankincense.
When they had heard the king, they set out, and there ahead of them went the star that they had seen in the east, until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy. On entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, opening their treasure chests, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
You have to recognize these are symbolic gifts. They may actually have been gold and myrrh and frankincense, or there may have been other gifts as well. But the writers of the Bible chose these gifts because of what they symbolized. Gold, the most prized metal, the ultimate symbol of worldly wealth. Frankincense, the incense used, if you go to a Catholic service where they wave the little thing around and little puffs of smoke come off it, that's frankincense that they're burning still, because it was used in worship. And myrrh, and I'm sorry I made you wince with myrrh, but it was something that they used to preserve bodies so that they didn't rot as fast. And so it was about life, which was wealth that keeps you going, and worship in frankincense, and about death in how you try to take control of this. They're all very valuable gifts. I find myself wondering whether they brought gifts or temptations. You see, later on in life, when Jesus goes out into the wilderness to try to figure out who he is and what he's there for, the Bible says that the devil tempted him with three things: the wealth of abundant food, worship and adoration from people everywhere, and immunity to death if he threw himself off the temple. And Jesus rejected all three temptations.
The tempter said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become food for the nations." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, God will command angels to bear you up." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and said to him, "All these I will give you if you will worship me."
I find it interesting that the very things that the wise men offered Jesus in the manger were the things that he rejected later in life. But that's for another sermon. That's some other time. Let's get back to the Magi. As with gladness. And just stay seated. As with gladness men of old did the guiding star behold, as with joy they hailed its light, leading onward, beaming bright. So most gracious Lord, may we evermore your splendor see. As with joyful steps they sped to that lowly manger bed, there to bend the knee before Christ whom heaven and earth adore. So may we with eager pace ever seek your throne of grace. As they offered gifts most rare at that manger crude and bare, so may we with holy joy, pure and free from sins alloy, all our costliest treasures bring Christ to you, our newborn King. No. Just three. You don't read the script. Yeah, it does. The legend gives, we probably say three wise men because of three gifts, as if each one of them brought one. We don't know that. And the legend gives them the names of Melchior, Balthazar, and Gaspar. And the Bible also doesn't give them the names. That comes to us from legends. The significant thing about their visit is not really the gifts, how much they were worth, or even where they came from. It's what happened to them when they came there. You see, they started by doing what all of us do. They went to the top so that they could get it straight from the boss's mouth, in a sense, so that they would not have to deal with, pardon the phrase, the ignorant masses who didn't know what they were doing. So they went to the top. They went to Herod, the powers that be, on the assumption that if anybody knew anything, it would have to be the people at the top, the people in the executive suite. That's why we send delegations to the Premier's office and write letters to our MP And when there's conflict in a conversation, you call the minister and say, "Can we have coffee together?" And they found that the person at the top is often clueless. Maybe politicians, maybe the executive president who's earning $27 million a year, but you put him down on the shop floor, he doesn't know how to put the widget together. He had to call his own wise men to dig through the archives to find an obscure reference to a king being born in Bethlehem.
When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him, and calling together all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it has been written by the prophet. And you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel."
We hear those words as a forecast of Jesus' birth. You have to remember that the Hebrew of biblical times didn't have any past or future or present tenses. They just gave you the verb, and it was up to you to figure out whether you're looking ahead or looking backwards. So it might well have been, not "from you shall come a ruler," but "from you has come a ruler who will look after my people." So that may have been just a reference to Bethlehem being the city of David. But anyway, that was where all the representatives of the tribe of David had gone. And so Herod decided that this is where something went on and the wise men were needed. And there's no cue for this. Whoever's doing the next piece, pick it up now.
Then Herod called for the Magi and learned from them the exact time when the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem, saying, "Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word so that I may also go and pay him homage."
And so the wise men from the east left the executive suite on the 33rd floor and headed out along the back roads to an obscure little village that's perched on the edge of a valley that plunges down to the Dead Sea, far below. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark streets shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. O morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God the King, and peace to all on earth. How silently the wondrous gift is given. So God imparts to human hearts the blessed gift of heaven. And in Bethlehem, they found a child. By the time they got there, he was probably a young boy, probably walking, certainly crawling and exploring his world. One of the pictures that my father found of the early versions of the Trinity, notice there, Mary is dressed in blue, of course. The child sits in her lap. And one of the wise men, the Magi, is presenting a gift. And the child is much more interested in his bald head.
He can have it.
It's the same as when you buy your kid this expensive toy, and he would actually rather play with the box. Boys don't have any particular sense of value of this thing. Significant thing, though, is not the gifts or where they came from. It's what happened to them.
And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another road.
That's the point. They chose to go back by another way. They had changed their understanding of how society, how the world works. And they were not going to go back to the guys at the top because they had seen, we believe that God came into the world in the sight, in the presence of that baby, and they had seen that there was another way of having power. It was an earth-shaking move for them because in their countries they were the power structure. They were the top tier office. And they chose to go back by another way. Long ago, T.S. Eliot wrote a poem about that he called The Journey of the Magi. He ended it this way.
Were we led all that way for birth or death? There was a birth, certainly. We had evidence, and no doubt I had seen birth and death, but thought they were different. This birth was hard and bitter agony for us, like death, our death. We returned to our places, these kingdoms, but no longer at ease here in the old dispensation, with an alien people clutching their gods. I should be glad of another death.
A miracle had happened. They no longer took their own traditional power structures for granted. You may have noticed a theme running through some of these services. I've been sort of propounding it over and over again, that God comes to the unexpected, to the unlikely, and in this case, to an absolutely helpless child. It is not the power structures that we set up that matter. It's how God comes to visit us, to be part of our lives. These services, I have to say, have turned a lot of my preconceptions upside down. They've changed the way I start to think about the way the world works. And I'm hoping that perhaps they may have changed some of your ideas. So I'm going to ask you to take the next couple of minutes as Elaine plays some music for reflection, to reflect on how things might have changed for you as you've been hearing this Christmas story in a different way. The Magi went home a different way, as different people. Did you have any insights that helped you look at Jesus' birth differently? How are you going home by a different way? Okay, Elaine, now you have to move over to the piano. This is another of our many Christmas carols. I've tried to use as many of them as I could in these services. But this one is, Will You Come and See the Light, verses 1, 2, and 4. Will you come and see the light from the stable door? It is shining newly bright, though it shone before. It will be your guiding star, it will show you who you are. Will you hide or decide to meet the light? Will you step into the light that can free the slave? It will stand for what is right, it will heal and save. By the pyramids of greed, there's a longing to be free. Will you hide or decide to meet the light? Light in the young girl's eyes, of the mighty put to flight by a baby's cry. When the lowest and the least are the foremost at the feast, will you hide or decide to meet the light? Please be seated again. And this time the minute for mission fits and works.
I don't want anything for Christmas. I really don't need anything this year.
This is something many of us have heard, and maybe something we've found ourselves saying. And while it may be true, despite not wanting or needing anything, gifts are going to happen anyway. Instead of searching gifts for someone who is hard to buy for, why not give gifts with vision? Gifts with Vision is a booklet, a catalog that enables you to give gifts from the comfort of home with no packaging or wrapping needed. Instead of gadgets and fleeting trends, Gifts with Vision is full of gifts that will help transform people's lives throughout Canada and across the world. When placing your order, you'll be able to add an e-card including a delivery date for each gift. Every Gift with Vision provides support for a specific mission and service partner offering a unique project. Without mission and service gifts and vision, projects would not be possible. Thank you for supporting both. When Christmas rolls around, remember that a meaningful gift is a simple click away. If madly dashing around the mall on Christmas Eve is your gift buying style, kick back and relax. Gifts with Vision has you covered.
We don't take up an offering in the sense of passing plates. We do have an offering box at the back that quite a few of you put your envelopes and donations into. And I'm going to ask Bill if he will bring the box forward and put it up here while we sing a verse from In the Bleak Midwinter. Thank you. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what I can I give him, give my heart. I want to do something a little bit different with the prayers of the people. Kim will take the microphone around as usual, but I'd also like us to, how do I say this? To remember out loud. I'm thinking that in my script here says, there are arrangements to make, last-minute decorations to put up, and maybe someone's necktie that they gave you last year that you have to remember to wear after you've kept it hidden for 12 months, just so you can gladden somebody's heart. But the point is that I think at this time of year our hearts are full too. And sometimes they're still breaking because we've lost people. A son has died. A daughter has moved away. Parents have died. Partners have vanished off the face of this earth. And so as part of the prayer, I'm going to suggest that we have, a minute of silence, but not really silence. It's silence in that I'm not talking and the piano is not playing. But in that silence, I would ask you to name the people you miss. Maybe just recently, may have been all through life. Can you just say their names? And I'd love to hear a sort of a rumble of a rumble of memory going on through the congregation. I remember Joan and Stephen, Dad and Ma. And so, Holy Presence, you've heard the names of those who still live in our hearts. We thank you for them even as we regret their loss, their absence. And our hearts are also full of those who are still with us, who will join us over Christmas and who will be present to us in various ways during the coming year. Relationships may change, they may strengthen, they may weaken, but they will remain in our hearts. Some of them you care deeply about. And now I'd invite you to present your petition, perhaps, to those whom you care about, to the presence, the Spirit that surrounds us, envelops us, lives within us. If you just hold up your hand, Tim will bring a microphone.
We all know that love lives here. My hope and prayer this season is that each and every one of us will spread some of that love out into our community.
I'd like to say prayers for my good friend Louisa, who's undergoing physical health issues right now.
I would like to offer a prayer for all those who are living in a homeless situation, who are struggling out there, and those that are wandering with mental illness that is not being addressed.
And we have, of course, the list of those whose names have been given to Sharon in the office and who are listed here briefly. If you don't know them, just send good wishes to them. If you do know them, think about what kind of healing they need. So Gary A., Peter P., May Husk and Suzanne both lost their husbands. Cyril C., Brian and Bev, Corey, Gary Monroe, Danielle and Rocky, Fran and Elwyn, and others who are not named, but we carry them in our hearts. And we gather all these prayers and cares together as we say together the Aramaic version of the Lord's Prayer. O breathing life, your name shines everywhere. Let your light create a light shrine within, between heartbeat and breath. Create your reign of unity now, with our grateful hearts and willing hands. Your one desire then acts with ours, as in all light, so in all form. Grant what we need each day in bread, insight, and compassion in order to grow. Loose the cords of mistakes that bind us, as we release the strands we hold of others' faults. Don't let surface things delude us. Free us from what holds us back, to walk your path with joy. From you arises the cosmic I can vision, the power and life to act and do, and the song that beautifies all. And to gathering, from age to age, this renews. Lalam, Amin, Amen. And just before we close, yes, O come all ye faithful. This calls for standing because you really got to sing it out. O come all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold So announcements, next Sunday is Christmas Eve. The worship team decided that we would not try to do 2 services on that Sunday, so there will be no service in the morning. There will be a service, a family service at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And on December 31, there will be a regular service at 10 a.m. Rhonda is doing that. And she's already got all the information to Sharon in the office.
She threatened me if I didn't. Sharon's going on holiday.
A terrific resolution.
So let us join in our closing. As we go, we will count our blessings, embody our faith, live an authentic life, never look down on the struggle for life. Notice behind every face there is a soul at work, and know that wherever we go, the Spirit of God is already there. Amen.